Welcome back to America's Home Experts, where we bring you the best in home improvement, design, and the pros you can actually trust. Today, we're talking about one of the fastest way to completely transform your home, painting. But here's the truth. Not all paint jobs are created equal, and hiring the wrong contractor can cost you big time. So we brought in a true pro. Nick from Elite Paint Company is here to walk us through what homeowners need to know before picking up the phone or signing a quote. Nick, thanks so much for being on the podcast today. We appreciate it.
No problem, man. It's a pleasure to be here, John.
So tell us, how did you get into painting?
So my stepdad was a wallpaper hanger when I was younger. I actually didn't even know he did painting until I went and helped him on a few weekends. He was doing a Holiday Inn. He was hanging some wallpaper. And, I went out there. He needed some closets and some door frames painted while he was hanging the wallpaper. So that was like the introduction, I guess you could say, to the industry. And when he gave me $100 after we were done, I was like, I want to make $100 again.
Isn't that the way?
Yeah. So anytime, and I mean, at my age, I'm gonna be honest with you, like, at $100, I thought I hit the lottery, So I was like, man, well, anytime I can come help him, I want to try and do that. So that's what was my like introduction into painting. It was funny though. I would help him a bunch, and then I kind of stopped for a little bit because I played a lot of sports. And, when I was, right around the point of graduating high school, I wasn't really a book guy. So just wasn't like a classroom guy and things like that. I was good with my hands. So I decided, I was like, you know what? He was working for a union company. I'm going to try and help them out with that, because I was doing enough painting. I didn't realize it at the time to be pretty decent at what I was doing to start out. So as soon as I graduated high school, I went and accompanied him in the union.
Nice. And so you were in the union a little bit, but what made you start Elite Paint Company?
So, funny story. I was really young when I started. Obviously, I just got out of high school and I was on the younger scale. So when I graduated, I was 17. I went and joined the union. And I think I was like $2 short of scale at the time. Like, I was a pretty good painter. They asked me, what do you want to make? And I was like, well, let me see what your guys can do. And in 2 weeks, I'll let you know what I think I'm worth. Right. Which is always, now that I have, a lot of interviews and stuff, that's like the best answer anybody could say. I didn't even know that I said that at the time, but now being a business owner, I was like, that's great. Well, what happened was I was running, within about 2 years, I was running some pretty big jobs. 14-month jobs, CompuWare building, Airport Park Hotel. They had condos that they built and stuff like that. So we were taking care of stuff there. Had anywhere from like 10 to 20 guys underneath me. And, I was just like, I'm young and I'm going to do this for 30 more years. And I was just like, I don't know if I can do this for 30 more years. So there was an estimator position that opened up, and I was a young guy. So I was like, hey, to the owner, I was like, hey, can, this estimator spot's available. Do you think I could take the class and possibly be up for that position? And he said, no. And I was like, okay, well, do you think I can take the class? I'm planning on being here a while. And later, maybe down the road, I can become an estimator. And he said, no. And I was doing a lot of side work at the time. So I have a big family. I have 5 kids. So I was working, 50 hours. I was working about 10 to 15 hours after work on my own side work under the Elite name. Now, at the time, I wasn't trying to make this anything big. But the young man in me had a little bit of pride and ego. And I said, I'm putting in my 2 weeks. Because I had about like 3 weeks worth of work already scheduled. So I was like, I'll be all right. And I knew I could get my job back there because I made a bunch of money. I was a good worker. Also, there's another union company that was kind of texting me back and forth, wanting me to possibly take a somewhat of a supervisor role eventually. That's what they were kind of juicing me up for. I'll work here for a few years and we'll give you X amount of role. So I knew I could get my job back. So I just bet it on myself, and it was history in the making after that. Never turned back.
Nice. You took a chance on yourself. I love the fact that you had the foresight to line up 3 weeks worth of work, because immediately you've got income, you've got a base, and that's going to at least take some of the pressure off of you, right?
For sure. And I had been doing it for years. This wasn't like just me doing side work. I really, since I started the union, because before I started the union, I was doing a lot. That's how I was making my money anyway, doing side jobs for people I knew and stuff like that. It wasn't really that scary, to be honest with you. It was probably more scary for everybody around me, my wife and things like that. But like, I knew I was a good painter. I'd already been bidding jobs, doing them by myself, getting very good results. A lot of people were very happy about it. So, I was just like, cool. The one aspect of the company I didn't realize was I had the idea of like, I'm going to get a couple of guys. I'm going to golf 3 or 4 times a week, and everything's just going to go hunky dory.
Owning a business is going to be easy, Nick.
Yeah. But what happened was the first year in business, I actually had a guy, pretty good painter, that was leaving the union as well. we started together, and in the first 2 weeks, he got a big job and ended up leaving. So it was just me. So I ended up getting a kid that I worked in the union with that wanted a job. He had never painted a day in his life. So I taught him from the ground up, hired 2 other guys. Funny story was the main guy that I hired, I hadn't talked to. I used to paint with him all the time. We knew each other for like 20 years at the time. And I hadn't talked to him in like 6 years, but I knew where his mom lived. And I was like, man, I love painting with Josh. His name was Josh. He's my buddy. And I was like, and I know he's a good painter. I was like, I wonder what he's doing. So I didn't have his number, but his mom lived 7 minutes away from me. So one day I just took my truck, knocked the door, and I was like, hey, is Josh here? And she's like, she gets him on the phone. She's like, yeah, I'll get him on FaceTime, and gets him on FaceTime. And I was like, hey man, I think I got a job. I got a good little thing going on here. I think that, you'd be, a good part of it. And he was like, all right, let's do it. But it was funny when he went to the door, his mom was like, yeah, your little friend, your little friend next to you. So I was like, oh, all right. But he still works here till this day. He's one of my best guys. So I kind of just took a shot in the dark. And my first year, I was still working on the jobs. Second year is when I really tried to make it like a business.
Right. Because, as the owner, you've got more responsibilities. You could still go pick up a brush, but, you've got to maintain and make sure everyone else is still getting the work. I get it. Nick, what separates a professional painting company from a guy with a brush in a van?
Okay. So honestly, what's crazy is that the majority of paint companies are not very professional. Most of them are owner operators, which isn't bad. I'm not knocking anybody that's an owner operator, but there's things that lack when you're an owner operator. A professional outfit is going to look like, our office is open. We have office, we have a shop, right? You're able to get to a hold of us from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday till 12 on Saturday, and Sunday even till 12, right? The other thing is that we've been in business a while now. Like, owner operator might not have any reviews, might not have a Facebook page. It doesn't make you feel real comfortable. The only thing you're going off of by not getting a professional outfit is, the price is cheap. Right. But you're going to see some of that. You're going to have we have project managers that are assigned to each project. I always say they're the professional version of you. You don't know what to look for, but our project managers do. They know what we call it, the elite standard. Right. And that's what we're looking for on every paint job. So those things, covering your floors, protecting your home. How many times have you seen someone get a paint job and the walls look great, but now their floors look horrible? Right.
You're right. They don't cover
or
correctly.
Countertops or bathroom. We always see it on the back piece of the toilets and things like that as well. So those kind of things. Also the prep work, right? A lot of these guys that are owner operators don't intend on answering your phone calls after. Just to be honest, they're getting paid and getting out of there. With paint jobs, prep work is 90% of the job. I mean, we don't even put paint on the walls usually for like 2 days. You know what I mean? On a 5-day project.
Okay.
We're caulking, we're mudding, we're using mesh tape. What we're doing is we're doing the work to ensure that the paint job lasts as long as possible. Anybody can go in someone's house and paint it and make it look good for a day. Right? How long is it going to look good? If you got a company that's going to be a few $1,000s more and their project's going to last 10 to 15 years and you spend, let's say $4,000 less to have someone else, but have to get it redone every 2 years. If you really compound that in 10, you're spending way more money to have a cheap paint job than you are a professional paint job. Along with warranties are a big thing as well. Like our cabinets have, a 3 to 5 year warranties. Our exteriors, 3 to 5 year warranties. Our interiors, we even warranty for 3 years. So you get a little added for protection. Plus, I always say, with a professional outfit, it's more of an investment than it necessarily is just paying to get something done.
Right. Those are a lot of good points. To kind of add to that, what are the biggest mistakes you see when homeowners are calling you while they're trying to go through hiring a painting company?
So a few things is that a lot of times people aren't comparing apples to apples, right? They hear one price, they hear another price. And a lot of times what we do is a price quote comparison, right? We always like to fall back, let's look at these, right? Because a lot of times when we look at them, they totally disregard the other quote because we're priming all your walls. This says nothing about primer. We're mesh taping all your cracks. This says nothing about that. I could do this paint job for real cheap too because I'm just slapping paint on there and slapping mud on a lot of this stuff. It's not, I always say it's more like apartment painting, right? You're just kind of slapping paint all over the place. So those are some things. And the other big thing that I see that homeowners do wrong is and if you get a quote from someone and you feel confident, you trust them, they're a little bit more, all you're going to do is confuse yourself by getting multiple other quotes. I always hear the, oh, I got to get 3 quotes thing, right? And in our experience throughout 15 years, that does more harm than good. And what happens is a lot of these people that do that end up going with a little cheaper other price. I mean, on average, the last 5 years, we've fixed 20 plus paint jobs that happened a year before.
In so 1 year? You're talking like it was done the year before, and then they had to, so they tried to save a buck and ended up paying almost, wow.
Yep. And we always leave it out there. I always say, competition is at the bottom, collaboration is at the top. There's so many houses to paint in here. You don't really have to compete with other people. People think you have to, but you really don't. There's plenty to go around, right? But what I always do say is that sometimes the cheaper price, you get what you pay for, right? And some people don't really know the value. Well, our best customers are typically people that went the cheaper route first, and then now they're second time through, because everybody thinks they can paint until they paint. It's just like me going to office and doing someone else's job. I'm going to be way worse at it than anybody else, and it's going to take me a whole lot longer. So once people actually try to do it or have somebody do it and it doesn't, and it goes the way we tell them it's going to go, that's usually when you get a good customer. They appreciate the value. They appreciate not other things getting messed up, everything being covered, all of this other jazz. Another thing we see all the time is someone's like, oh, we'll be done in 5 days and be at someone's house for a month and a half. Every job we basically do is 5 to 6 days. It's just we have more men. So if we want to get a 4,200 square foot home, we just put 12 people in the house Monday through Friday, and it gets done. Those are some of the common things that we see. Another thing too is we don't take a deposit at all. We've never have. And we've never had one person not pay us. And the reason why is because if you go there and you do exactly what you say you're going to do, and it looks really good like you say it's gonna, everybody's happy to give you a check. But a lot of people like that, because in 2020, that was a big thing. Everybody decided, oh, I got nothing else to do. I'm going to become a carpenter or a painter. I'm going to do plumbing, right? And a lot of people's deposits got took. A lot of people's work got really messed up. You don't know how many basements that got drywalled that I was like the 5th person there telling them, well, everybody says we have to rip it out. Yeah, you got to rip it out. Yeah, it's there's no way to make it look good. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but yeah, you're right. So we see a lot of that kind of stuff as well. And I always tell people, if it's a small project, and you're talking $6,000 or less, and someone has to take a deposit to do it. I mean, unless you don't plan on getting it done for 90 days or more or something like that, I don't need anybody's money to do a project. And I think it puts the customer at ease a little bit, knowing that, hey, you don't pay us a penny until you're 110% satisfied. We buy all the material. We have our PMs out here. We got our guys out here. We do a final walkthrough. Once you guys are 100% satisfied, that's when you pay us. So it keeps the customer, puts them at ease, and not have to worry about a lot of other things.
Yeah, heck yeah, dude, that's your guarantee right there. You don't have to pay us until you're 110% satisfied. That's amazing. Yep. Yeah, it's got to put all your customers at ease, because there's a lot of chucking of trucks out there.
Yeah,
just sure. They do not know what they're doing. Yeah, 2020, the year where everyone can be decide to become a plumber and didn't realize you need a license.
Oh, 100%.
All right, let's talk a little bit about interior painting tips, right? So what are the most popular colors right now that you're seeing?
So I always say it goes in a wheel. When you've been around painting long enough, it goes grays, off-whites start coming into play, light beiges, browns. Usually they'll go into blues and then back to grays. It's a big circle. And you got to think about it like this. Designers, if everything's gray, they got to go with a different color, right? They're not going to keep the grays, right? So what we've seen a lot of is off-whites. Beiges are really coming back into play as well, which I love beige colors. I'm not a big brown guy, but beiges, they have so many different undertones in these beiges. You can get a grayish beige, you can get a whitish beige, you can get a brownish beige, and a lot of those things. The other thing that we've seen is it almost like farmhouse style colors, like light greens. On cabinets, we've seen a lot of green, like evergreen fogs and things like that. Cabinets, I feel like those have been most of the colors that we've been doing late in 2025 and early 2026.
All right. And what rooms you're going to get the best ROI on it when you're to be painted?
I mean, I would say I'm not a big white guy, to be honest, because most people have kids and it's just a lot of maintenance. Mm-hmm. Browns are easier to touch up. The beiges are easier to touch up as well. I always say the focal point of your house is the most important. Foyer, living room, kitchen, if you're in your kitchen a lot too, any room that like when I have people over, it's going to be seen. Those are the biggest ones we push to be like, look, you're the only one that's going to be in your bedroom. So like, if, we could do that in phase 2, this for sure area, I would suggest to get done, because if you have people over for Thanksgiving, Christmas, or any holiday, and everybody's always in the kitchen, right? So those are usually like the focal points I try to hit on is foyer, living rooms, kitchens, and then usually there's like a little back hallway attached. So we're doing mostly those things. And then, I always tell people too, they get a return customer discount with us. So let's say like, hey, you want to just do your living room and stuff right now because budget comes into play.
Sure.
That's awesome, because even if you wait to do the rooms, you're going to get, depending on how big the job size is, anywhere from like $500 or $1,500 off if it's a bunch of rooms. So I just tell the customers, you'll save money if you do it that way anyway.
Right. I want to come back to budget. You know what? I'll just do it now. You talked about budget. Are you guys offering financing for homeowners as well?
Oh yeah. We offer financing all the time. You know what's funny about financing with homeowners that I've seen too, and I'm sure you can relate, but a homeowner could get financing for 4%, 5%, 6%. And they're like, oh my gosh, that's crazy, right? But every single homeowner has a credit card that they're spending 20 to 24% every time they leave a recurring balance on there, right? And I always tell people, like, your home is your biggest investment. I mean, because that's usually a fact in most households. So like that 6% for your house to look good. Plus, if you ever want to sell your house and everything looks cosmetically good, when you actually sell your house, you have to spend less money to sell your house as well. And that's where the warranties come into play too. Like a 3-year interior warranty is kind of unheard of because stress cracks and things like that in Michigan. But we do that for our customers. So like I said, the investment is a big play, but budget 100%. It's a big deal because no one ever expects to pay what it actually costs to get a professional paint job.
Because it's just painting. It's just running some rollers
I got my
up
house
and down.
painted 15 years ago for $2,500, and they're sitting on a 3,500 square foot home. And it's like, dude, that's never. I can't.
Nick, you don't need to prime everything. Priming. It's paint and primer now.
100%.
Yeah, I hear it all the time, man. So should a homeowner prep their house before they hire you, or are you handling all that?
No, don't. The only thing that we usually like homeowners to do, like if there's pictures that are eye level that you don't have to step, even a 2-step, don't get on a ladder. Okay. Like we'll take care of all that. All we really ask is like move the majority of the knickknacks and things. So if we're moving a table, there's not stuff that can tip over and, break off. We're taking the switch plate covers off. Usually we're labeling the blinds and pulling them off unless there's these ones that kind of like have a company come out and put them in stationary. We'll usually leave those or have the company take them off because they're super expensive if you take them off the wrong way. But typically like, because we get a lot of older couples. Like if we can help, like we're going to have 4 guys, 2 guys or whoever here. So moving some stuff around isn't a big deal. It's just getting the knickknacks and stuff off. So when we move something, it doesn't break inside the chest or something like that. Typically we are helping with that. But as in prepping of mudding or caulking or anything, do not, as a homeowner, ever do that. It literally, to be honest with you, and this is as honest as I can be, it costs more money when homeowners do their own mudding, do their own caulking, or do their own filling and nail holes. Because a lot of times the paint job looks great, but they use the wrong kind of caulk. Or the mud work, we first coat mudded everything and we got to rip it all off anyway, right? So I always tell people like, leave the actual painting and prep work to us. If you want to get a few things out of our way so it makes it a little bit easier to mask off your floors, put everything to the center, that's awesome. But that's really all we ask our customers.
All right, let's talk about exterior painting. When would a homeowner know it's time to repaint their exterior?
Typically before you see a bunch of stuff is going to be the cheapest way. Usually what I always say is like, go around, assess it. If you see paint flaking somewhere little, get it done then. Because like if I have to go to a house that has a whole bunch of paint flaking all over it, not only do I have to charge you what it costs to paint, but I also have to charge you for all the prep work that it's going to cost us before we even get to the painting, right? So I think what happens is a lot of people will see, if you see one board that's rotted, get it done then. Don't wait until you have rot on every side of your house. Now we got, because now it turns into a big project, right? So I actually made a video about this, specifically stating that like, when you don't see anything or there's not a bunch of cracks, there's not a bunch of stuff like that, like that's the best time to get your house painted. That's when it's going to be the cheapest and the best. But typically what we see is that it's long overdue by the time they call us. And now it turns into a way bigger project than it needed to be if we just maintained it.
Right. Once you see a little bit of a crack, once you see a little bit of a rot, you know it's time, because if it's in one space, it's going to get more.
100%.
All right. Well, how does Michigan weather affect paint lifespan? I mean, we've got -20 all the way to up to 100+ degrees sometimes.
So for exteriors, to be honest with you, if you use the right system, you just don't want to paint too early or too late in the season. When it starts dropping below 35 degrees, they do have a paint called Latitude that you're able to use. I don't push that, you know what I mean? Because like if I was my own house, I would just be like, let's just wait until the weather's right, to ensure that I can get the 10 to 15 years it should last, right? So the weather does take into account of how many exteriors we can do in a season though. We have a really big production team, so we're able to do a lot. But what happens is that some people will wait until last minute and think like, oh, we can just get on someone's schedule. And usually what happens are a couple of things. Either you're getting on the guy's schedule that doesn't have a schedule for a reason, which is never a good thing, okay? Or typically what happens is you've needed your exterior done probably for 5 years. Finally, you got a bunch of stuff going wrong, so you decided this was the year to get it done. If you have to wait another year where you have snow sitting and all this weather, I mean, it's just going to cost you thousands of dollars more, right? So I always say, like, when the weather's like this right now, make the calls to the companies, get on these schedules, especially for someone like us. Like, you're not even have to give us any money to get on our schedule. You just have to sign and approve the quote. And then as soon as the weather changes, we have a list of customers that we go through and we call and say, hey, it's that time. We're going to start putting you guys on the schedule to start getting power washes and things of that nature. Yeah, weather does play a part a little bit. So just be a little bit more proactive, I would say, if it's something that's in the cards. And I will be honest, we've had exteriors that we went out and bid for, $8,500 one year. The guy didn't pull the trigger, waited the next year, and it turned into 12. That's a $4,000 difference, okay? Because once the paint is wore off the wood and water gets into that wood, it just starts deteriorating, basically. I mean, it went from 1 year, I think it was like $700, and I think it was like $82 in wood repair to almost $2,000 more in wood repair in one calendar season. Because Michigan does have really harsh weather. Right. I mean, especially decks. That's another thing. Like decks, if decks aren't done the right way, you'll be lucky to get a season out of them. Like our decks, we give a 3-year touch-up warranty because we know, like, who wants to pay every year to get their deck touched up? So
let's walk through, since you're talking about scheduling and everything, let's walk through your process from estimate to final walkthrough. How does it?
So I'll start. So basically a phone call will come in, our admin team will answer that. We go through a pretty thorough pre-qualifying. We want to make sure we know exactly what's going on. And we also let people know, like, hey, we'll look at what you think you need done or what you want to have done and what you need to have done, because sometimes those can be two different things. Sometimes, someone will point out one stress crack that they're so worried about, and we'll be like, with our laser, like, wait a minute, but like, did you see this one? And this one's worse than this one, right? So basically we would come out, she'll schedule the appointment, we'll send a reminder. Typically we'll confirm the day before to ensure that you guys are ready. We always want to have both people there. It's not to sell you anything. It's because we go over a lot of information. We're not like your typical painting company where we just come in there and say, show me what you got, measure some things and leave. We're giving you guys information. We want you to understand, like, this is what a good job looks like and this is what a bad one looks like. Because people just think everyone's coming in their house painting it the same way, having the same process, and that couldn't be further from the truth. And you got to ask questions, right? We're going to ask you a bunch of questions. We're not just going to tell you what we do. Because let's say this is a great example, right? Hey, how long has it been since you got your house painted? It's been 10 years. Okay, awesome. So does that mean you want this paint job, if I'm hearing you correctly, that you want this paint job to last another 10 years? Yeah. Okay, well, let me explain a few things that we're going to need in this quote to ensure that it's going to last 10 years. Or we'll backtrack. Hey, Nick, yep, we've been here 10 years, but we plan on selling our house. So do you think that they're going to want all their walls primed, everything like that? No, they're probably going to want to just, hey, let's paint what needs to be painted, right? So we can sell the house. Because I always tell people, you can do whatever you want to a house when it's getting sold. Every single person paints something. It doesn't matter if it's one neutral tone. It could be right away or it could be 6 months from now. They're still going to paint it and make it. I always say they're going to make the house their own home.
Yeah, right. You just made that big investment.
Yep. But basically we come there. We always will go through everything with the client. We have a slideshow that we like to show people with common things that we've ran in, common questions that homeowners that have for us. We're going to go thoroughly through that. We're going to build the quote right there on site. We don't, very transparent. We'll let you know exactly how we got your number too. We measure square footage and wall square footage throughout the space, linear footage, stuff like that. So we can tell you exactly how we got your number. And then we typically will let you know, based on what, because we'll ask, hey, when do you want to get this done? We'll say, hey, we can do it this day or this date. And we'll present the price right there on the spot. No deposit down. If it's something they want to do, They just sign and approve that. From there, if they do sign and approve it, we give out color consultations for any job over $6,000. So we'll then have Brittany will call the customer to schedule the color consultation. We'll finalize their colors. Once we finalize their colors, which usually takes, within 5 days, we can usually get someone out there to get their colors. Then we'll get you on the schedule. Once we get you on the schedule, typically what we do is we call it a weekly hug. So if you're not on our schedule that week, we're calling everybody we have on the schedule, just letting them know, hey, we're still good to do your job on the 20th. So we got X, Y, and Z colors. Were there any questions you have for us between now and then? And things like that. But then after that, we paint the house. Our project managers will come out there, introduce themselves. We have them talk to the clients every day. We have them ask questions like, hey, we got all the floors and everything prepped. I know everybody has certain things that they're a little bit more picky in areas than others. Is there any more masking you want us to do before we move forward to mudding all the walls? So we're in constant communication with our customer to ensure that through the whole process, from when we step foot in the door Monday, let's say it's a 5-day job, until we leave at 4:00 Friday, that they know what's going on. They're comfortable with where everything's at. Like, hey, we got the ceilings done. I blue taped a few different areas. Between 4:00 and 10:00, this house, the lighting's going to look a little different. Make sure you look at these ceilings to see if you see anything, and I'll make sure the guys handle my touch-ups and the touch-ups you've seen as well. Then we do a final walkthrough on the last day of the job, which typically we'll let them know. Looks like we'll be wrapping up around 3:00 to just have someone there for that. And then we walk the job room by room, ensure that they're 100% happy. Once they are, we clean everything up. We call it the white glove treatment. And then we go and get paid and ask for an honest review.
That is the customer service from the weekly hug. I love that. To the, checking, hey, the light's going to change. If you see another spot, let me know. That's awesome. Like, you're always in contact. That is something I wish other companies adhered to.
I always tell people, if you've gotten a professional job in general, you might think we're a little annoying, but no one ever does. Everyone's always super happy to be a part of it, because how many times has customers done this where no one's in communication? You're looking at some things that you think are done, but you don't know if they're done because they haven't told you. So now you're like, man, I hope those aren't done because I see this, and oh my gosh, did you see this? And now it's just a real stressful situation until they're done. We don't want that. We're like, hey, just to let you know, we still got, through 2 steps on the walls. We're still going to put a coat on it. We mud anything that we see. We see these caulk lines. And every day before our guys leave, they blue tape. They go walk the jobs and they blue tape anything that they see to ensure while we're not there that the customer knows, like, these are still things we're taking care of on all these things as well. So I say it's like the easiest. You don't have to worry about anybody taking your money. We want to get the job done just as much as you. You don't have to ask us any questions because we're going to keep you notified with everything going on. And all you basically got to do is walk a beautiful new home at the end, be happy about it, and pay us. So most people are pretty happy with this when they're done.
It's unbelievable. I was going to ask what makes your company different, but I think you just explained it, because that is not very common.
I'll be honest with you. So when I was doing side work, I never realized how many people were bad at painting. Because I'd always ask, the same question. I'd just be like, hey, what made you reach out to me and not another company? Because this is at the time I'm doing side work. They're like, we were going to reach out to the so-and-so, but so-and-so used them and, they had a bad experience, or someone took off with a deposit, or just all these crazy stories. Because I always started painting. I wanted to be a good painter. I wanted people to be happy with my work. I'm a competitive guy. So like, I wanted to be the best, and what I did was, when I built this team, it wasn't about being the best painter, because I built a whole program. It's called the Elite Standard. So we have a 2 to 5 week program, depending on where you're at with painting, that you have to do to complete in order to even go on one of our jobs. So we have like apartment complex accounts that will, train people on, which the apartment complexes love us because their jobs look amazing. And if you know apartments, they don't always look amazing. Okay. But what we like to do is put them through Elite Standard and make sure that we're not just throwing somebody that says they're a good painter in someone's home. We want to know these guys for 60 to 90 days before we actually put them in an occupied home to represent our company. So I would say that's really big. Our culture, everybody loves coming into work. Everybody wants to do a really good job. And it took a while to build that. I've been to 20 painters to 13 painters, back to 16, back to 10. You know what I mean? Like, I always tell people, we keep the A players, the B and C players. In January, typically we get let go. But we set the expectations, the systems and everything to give you the opportunity to always be an A player, but you got to want it.
Right. What areas are you serving?
So we do a lot of Macomb, a lot of Oakland County as well. And we also do even some more north stuff like Romeo and stuff like that as well. We do a lot of Grosse Pointe. We'll really go. I mean, if the job is a decent size, even if it's pretty far, like we did a couple projects in Leonard, Metamora. We are doing some work here shortly. We have one going on in Palm, Michigan right now, which is like an hour and a half away. But it's just, we're not going to go out for one bathroom that far.
Sure.
If it's like, hey, we want our whole house painted. We heard you guys were great. You're about an hour away. I'm like, okay, cool. We're going to come out there. We'll give you a bid. No problem. And if it's something we want to do, we'll get a team out here to take care of it.
That's great. What's the best way for our listeners to get a hold of you and get a quote?
So you can go to our website, elitepaintcompany.com. There'll be a little form there. It has tons of information as well. A lot of stuff common questions. It has a lot of blog pages about a lot of what homeowners are talking about and a lot of really good information on there. So I'd say that's the best place, or our Facebook page, Facebook.com/Elite PND, and that's our Facebook page as well. If you reach out to us there, you can get in touch with us there as well.
Nick, this is awesome. This has been a real treat. Thank you so much for coming on America's Home Experts podcast. We appreciate it. You and everybody over at Elite Paint Company. I love the customer service aspect. I love how you guys are focused on understanding that when your customers are calling you, they're calling you because they have a problem and they think that you can take care of it. And I think you guys are, man. It's awesome.
Well, thank you so much, John. And the last thing is listen, the thing that's the biggest difference I would say with our company is that we care. Not only do I care, my team cares. We care about your home. Like when you pay us money, like I tell my guys all the time, like they're paying us to have a job look a specific way. So we want to deliver that, not just 90% of the time, 100% of the time. So it was a pleasure being on here. Thank you so much again. And look forward to talking with you hopefully again sometime soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, John.
If you're watching or listening to this and you're thinking about painting your home, interior or exterior, don't just go with the cheapest option. Go with someone who actually knows what they're doing and stands behind their work. And if you want more episodes like this, real experts, real advice, make sure you subscribe to America's Home Experts podcast. We'll see you on the next one.